Today we look at Sermon 16 of God's Big Story, which is called Putting Things Right, Atonement. And to set the scene, we hear from Matthew's Gospel. After the Sabbath, as the first light of the new week dawned, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came to keep vigil at the tomb. Suddenly the earth reeled and rocked under their feet as God's angel came down from heaven, came right up to where they were standing. He rolled back the stone and then sat on it. Shafts of lightning blazed from him. His garment shimmered snow white. The guards at the tomb were scared to death. They were so frightened they couldn't move. The angel spoke to the women. There is nothing to fear here. I know you're looking for Jesus, the one they nailed to the cross. He is not here. He was raised just as he said. Come and look at the place where he was placed. Now get on your way quickly and tell his disciples, he's risen from the dead. He's going on ahead of you to Galilee. You will see him there. That's the message. The women, deep in wonder and full of joy, lost no time in leaving the tomb. They ran to tell the disciples. Then Jesus met them, stopping them in their tracks. Good morning, he said. They fell to their knees, embraced his feet and worshipped him. Jesus said, you're holding on to me for dear life. Don't be frightened like that. Go tell my brothers that they are to go into Galilee and that I'll meet them there. When something's gone wrong, justice needs to be done and needs to be seen to be done, and we often see that in society. Some of you may have read Ian McEwan's novel Atonement, which examines exactly that same dynamic. The central character is called Bryony, and she makes a grave mistake when she's a young child. She falsely accuses her sister's boyfriend of rape, a charge that leads to a prison sentence to untold misery and thwarted hopes. The story is of her attempts to atone for this sin, to find forgiveness, and towards the end of the book comes a reminder of her unresolved guilt and a need for atonement. It says, all she wanted to do was work, then bathe, then sleep, until it was time to work again. But it was all useless, she knew. Whatever skivvying or humble nursing she did, and however well or hard she did it, she would never undo the damage. She was unforgivable. Can such damage be undone? As the title of the novel suggests, through atonement. The atonement is one of the biggest concepts in Christianity, and it provides the answer to the question, why did Jesus die? A helpful way of thinking of the atonement is found in the word itself. Christians believe that humankind was once separated from the God who made and loved them because of their sin. But Jesus' death has made a way for them to be at one with God, or at one-ment. This is what we celebrate every Easter, on Good Friday especially, and more regularly every time we take communion. This is where the hero wins the day. The resurrection of Jesus seals the defeat of death and sin, opening up the way for all people to turn to God. Repairing the effects of the fall, resurrection is a crucial part of our faith. To talk to God, we go through Jesus. To get to heaven, we go through Jesus. To have a relationship with God, we go through Jesus. Jesus is the gate to God and the gate to heaven, the way, the truth and the life. Jesus will return to the end of the world and judge everyone. We've looked previously at why people were separated from God when God made a beautiful world with people to rule over it. He created people to be friends and set out a design for his life, but humankind chose another path. This rejection of God is called sin. Sin makes a barrier between a perfect God and an imperfect people. Christians believe that Jesus' death ultimately knocks down this barrier and makes a way for everything that was lost at the fall to be regained and restored. But how does Jesus' death do this? That is a very big question, and one which the New Testament, in particular writers like St. Paul, try to answer. He said, if there is no resurrection of the dead, then not even Christ has been raised. Our preaching is useless, and so is your faith. Within Christianity, there is a range of ways of understanding the resurrection. There's a minority who believe that the supernatural elements of the Bible are relics of an obsolete worldview and need to be interpreted as expressing truths without being literally true. That's especially the case with resurrection. Other Christians are happy to believe that an omnipotent creator could raise someone from the dead and see this as the best way to understand the New Testament accounts as part of God's ongoing relationship with humanity. Probably the most popular idea is that when Jesus died, he took on all of humankind's sin and died in their place. People are in God's debt. There is a cost to their sin, but Jesus' death paid off this debt so that it's been completely cancelled and we are at one, or atoned. The only way to make sense of the Bible is to take the resurrection as the work of God in bringing Jesus back to new life. What else can adequately explain the growth of Christianity? Why else would anyone care much about Jesus now? The resurrection means that his death wasn't the tragic end of a potential Messiah, but the working through of God's plan to rescue his creation from sin, evil and death, bringing his kingdom. This is what gives us hope in the justice of God and the reality of life after death.